Hey everyone, Allison Ebner with the Employers Association here. Welcome back to Office Hours with EANE, where we're having real conversations about real workplace issues. And today our guest is John Nettis with PASS, Protective Advanced Safety Services. PASS has been a partner of EANE for more than 5 years
Wow.
already. You know, I feel like when we sit down and we have these conversations, there's never any shortage of things to talk about when we come to really addressing workplace safety in an organization, particularly as it relates to workplace violence, because we're seeing people more stressed out than ever, right?
Yes.
Inside our organizations, it's coming from home, a number of reasons why. Talk a little bit about what you're seeing when you're doing the training today. And
Sure.
what are the clients that you have that are EANE members and other clients? What's creating the need for them to call you?
Well, a lot of conversations that we've been having, especially with workplace violence regarding mass violence, there's a lot of domestic violence issues that we're seeing. After COVID changed things, but we're very hopeful that we're going to get a grip on some of the things that it did change and probably regulate it, but we're not there yet. I wish they weren't baby steps, but that's what they are. They're baby
Mm,
steps. So part of what we do is we'll go ahead and we'll do site visits, and some of the things that we do with visits are very important because administration, and I think it's abundantly clear now that they know that their company or companies are very diverse in a lot of different things. Demographics of their staff, their geographic profile as to where they sit in the community. Also, their hiring practices. These are
mm,
very, very important. Some of the stakeholders that we have been doing business with weren't really they weren't as knowledgeable as far as workplace violence regarding domestic violence, but after we started talking about some of these tripwire behaviors, you could see the light bulb going off over their head
yeah,
and they're like, oh yeah, okay. And I think we're fairly decent at connecting the dots for them and
yeah.
allowing them to make the decisions, because if you're taking a company from where they are to where they need to be, it's a layered approach. It
Hmm.
doesn't happen in 15 minutes, an hour. So it's more or less an attitude towards safety. Um, I think stakeholders now are not checking the boxes anymore. What they're doing is they're understanding this layered approach has it's almost part of servant leadership where the leader eats last. It's their staff is the most important, not the
Hmm.
leader. The staff is. So with providing safety and security and confidence, that's making them more productive, and it's keeping the atmosphere in there to a degree where if something does happen, they're prepared for it.
Yeah, that's a lot. And I think, I know I personally have learned a lot from you and Steve, just from the trainings that you've done for us here at EANE in terms of, effective discipline strategies,
Yeah.
right? When somebody has a performance issue, that can actually lead to an escalation, right, in an
Correct.
organization. So it's everything from the logistics of that, of how you sit in a room when you're
That's
delivering
right.
performance
Oh, you paid
feedback,
attention. I
right?
love this.
Oh, yeah, we pay attention. All the way to documentation.
That's right.
We think in HR, we talk a lot about documentation. We don't talk as much about it as you guys do,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
Making sure that you're writing things down, that you've got things clearly documented when you are doing those performance management situations, the conflict situations, and really having best practices, right? That's where it starts.
Correct.
Okay.
So you're on the money with all that information that you just talked about. Now, if it's not on paper, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So the value of documentation is invaluable. An incident happens, not every incident turns out to be a disciplinary issue. But with the documentation, if you are not an eyewitness, someone who has prepared the document, clear, concise, correct, can read it like you're reading a book.
Mm.
And they can put themselves in the situation and start determining what the best course of action is or what the best practice is. I'll give you an example. A lot of your members and our clients are work in factories
Yep.
on the manufacturing floor. Their managers, their lead employees, they're experiencing little microaggressions where they're empowered to make a decision. Should I document this or should I just keep a journal in case something else happens? And it has to go forward to a disciplinary, that using progressive discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go into companies and we teach them some of the practices that we use in law enforcement, it becomes a lot more regimented because most of the documentations, if a lawyer goes ahead and subpoenas the document, it's got to be clear, concise, and correct because there's other people reading the document and trying to understand the incident and saying, okay, let's pull this apart to see if it's a disciplinary issue, if it's a counseling issue, coaching, mentoring, and it empowers the employer, supervisor, as well as the employee to change direction into being a little bit either better employee, better manager, better stakeholder.
Mm.
So um, I I think a lot of the companies that we've been talking to have understood that theory, and they're making some changes where we'll give them. Of course, we're a reality-based training company, so we'll give them the theory, we'll give them the practice, and then we use the tell, show, do. So first we tell them, then we show them, and then we
Right.
have them get out of their seats and practice it.
Yeah.
That seems to be working, even with the report writing. We'll develop an incident. We'll ask them to go back to the drawing board and document what they see, and we'll show them, the clarity that
Mm-hmm.
needs to happen. And so that's been working for us.
One of the most effective things I know that you guys do, and you enjoy doing it, is the calm training where you actually teach people how to de-escalate a
Yes.
situation. We know there are stats out there that a third of the American workforce has experienced an incident of aggression at the workplace. They've either witnessed it or personally experienced it themselves over the last several years. That's a third. That's
That's
one
high.
out of every three people,
Yeah, that's
right?
crazy. Yeah.
So when you encounter someone, especially like physical aggression, there are steps that you need to know to take as an employee if you're on the receiving end of that, and as an HR professional, as an owner, of how you should document that incident, have a plan in place to exit somebody from the building.
Yes.
One thing I learned from you too is you can trespass someone from your property,
Yeah,
right? If there
that's
is an
huge.
issue.
Sure.
So you don't have to live in fear of a threatening employee.
Correct.
A lot of these issues seem to result from mental health challenges.
Yes.
And I know you talk a lot about this in your training. Mental health, it can be domestic violence related, it can be drug related, it
Correct.
can just be straight up mental health related. What are like the top two or three things that employers need to be doing today regarding mental health and how they're approaching this to protect their organizations and their employees?
Well, the two things that we see, one is behavioral health, like you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
We see a very high anxiety coupled with substance abuse. There's strategies including interviews and doing some remote surveillance if you have to look at a camera or you start to look at start to look at some of the signs of substance
Mm.
abuse. One of the leadership styles that we think has worked is it comes from the University of uh, Washington. It's leadership as a coaching skill. So
Okay.
what it does is it actually shows you, and and all the other things become a little bit clearer. Is it shows you, okay, so we have a pattern of attendance. So we take a look at that. How do I motivate somebody who is calling in sick every Friday so they get a long weekend? How do I motivate somebody like that. You could determine, is this a coaching issue? Is this a mentoring issue?
Yeah.
Do I have to counsel them, or do I have to retrain them because they don't have enough confidence in doing their job? Could be behavioral health or substance abuse. So how to cultivate your relationship with your staff enough where they're going to come forward with something like that and not be perceived as a whistleblower, that brings you back to effective leadership, right? You have to
It
have
does.
that relationship with your staff.
Yeah, you just circled everything all together, I think, for us, where you're looking at employers have to know their staff
That's right.
much, much more deeply than they have in the past, right? Especially with the new generations in the workplace, there has to be leadership development training across a whole different spectrum of things, not just how to manage people, but how to recognize these behavioral cues
Yes.
and triggers,
Yes.
right? And they have to know how to de-escalate situations. Thank you so much, John, for coming in and chatting with us about this. We look forward to the continued relationship we have with PASS and your training. And we'll have another conversation. There'll be part 2.
This is
Thanks
a
for joining us
pleasure. You're
today.
very welcome, and I appreciate you having me here.
All right.